Welcome again to Armed for War Discipleship course, and we are in this incredible teaching on Satan's Dirty Little Secret, our best-selling book. And this is really the first time we have taken such a significant amount of time to break open this incredible revelation. The revelation of these two demon spirits that every other spirit gets its strength from. The two demon spirits that God revealed to me in that incredible vision back in the early 1990s, the spirit of insecurity and inferiority. And in our last lesson, God was breaking open the revelation to us about how these spirits were released upon Eve in the garden. When he challenged first, the serpent challenged her and said that you will not die if you eat of this fruit. And all of a sudden, Eve felt insecure. Everything she had known to be true, she now was questioning, what if God is lying? And she felt insecure. And then he said, if you eat of it, you'll be like gods. Even though the Bible said they were already created in the image of God, they already believed they were in the image of God. And now he said, hey, Eve, you're not only does God lie to you, you're not who you think you are. And she felt inferior, lower in position or stature. And the moment we become feeling insecure and inferior, the enemy will offer us a fruit, and when we eat of it, we lose the very thing we're trying to get. When we eat of it, we fall into bondage. We saw how the original sin, and I'm not talking about Adam and Eve, I'm talking about in heaven. The original sin that was found, iniquity was found in the heart of Lucifer. When because of his beauty, he was lifted up. When he looked at himself and he compared himself, he entered into what I call the sin of comparison. He compared himself with the other created beings and said, I'm more beautiful than them. He compared himself with God and said, I'm not as great and as majestic as him. Therefore, I will make myself like the Most High God. He wanted to exalt himself because he felt inferior to God and superior to the others. And as a result, sin was birthed in him, and that's why he used that strategy on Eve in the garden. And God said it's the same strategy that is used today. And the Lord showed me, and I'm telling you, through the last 16 years since this revelation, since this vision, the Lord showed me how these two spirits are the root of every problem. There is not one counseling session I do. There is not one time I sit down with someone that has a consistent battle or problem or stronghold in their life that I cannot take the root of that right back to these two demon spirits, insecurity, inferiority. Because every other spirit gets its strength. As I saw in that vision, all the other spirits, lust, pornography, anger, rage, violence, rebellion, all these other spirits are actually relatively small spirits. Pride, very relatively weak spirits. But they get their strength from these two spirits of insecurity and inferiority. And when the enemy hits us with this, when we reach out, and it doesn't matter, whatever we grab for, remember the tree of the knowledge, because everything goes back to the tree. The tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Some of it looks good. Some of it does look purely evil. But some of it looks good. And when we eat of it, we fall into the trap again. We fall into the bondage again. Why? Because we are trying, hear me carefully right now, because we are trying to gain our value. We are trying to gain our security. We are trying to gain it from anything and everything else other than God. And whenever you try to get your security, whenever you try to get a sense of security, whenever you try to get your value and no longer feel inferior, whenever you try to get your value from anything other than God, you have partaken of the tree of the knowledge and good and evil. You have fallen into the trap of the garden, and you, just like Adam, just like Eve, and once again, we become bound time and again. And I'm telling you, in most of our lives, most every day, we are constantly bombarded with this. The opportunity to compare, the opportunity to feel insecure, the opportunity to feel inferior or superior. And we partake of that tree, and we continue to live our lives in bondage. One of the areas that we see, and listen, hear me carefully. I thank God for America. I love America. God formed and fashioned America. And the American economic system is driven by capitalism. And as far as a functioning system here on the earth, it works. It creates the most opportunities for people. But hear me carefully. Capitalism isn't Holy Ghostism. Capitalism Communism isn't Holy Ghostism. Socialism isn't Holy Ghost. I want you to understand, these are man's economic systems, not heaven's economic systems. I want you to understand that. And unfortunately, in capitalism, there is a great loose and driving force underneath a lot of it of the spirit of greed. There's a great drive of the spirit of greed. Businesses, hear me, there are, and please don't get me wrong, there are some godly business owners who do it for godly purposes, for the glorification of the kingdom of heaven. But there are ungodly business owners, and the only reason they care about their customers is because, frankly, they want to make money. It's all about making money. And when that becomes the driving process, they will do anything, say anything, manipulate anything they can to make more money. Whatever it takes, they're going to do it to make more money. Now understand, that is what's driving most of the economic engine. I'm not saying all of it. Please don't get me wrong. Don't take extreme on me. But that's what's driving most of the economic engine. As a result of this driving force, that we're going to do whatever and say whatever we can say, whatever we can get away with to get people to buy our product. Because the driving force is not creating wealth for the advancement of the gospel of the kingdom of heaven, but it is for other purposes. It has opened the door for the enemy to come in, and the enemy has influenced these industries to use his strategies. Hear me carefully. To use his strategies to get us to buy their products. You see this no more clearly than in the realm of advertising. In the realm of advertising. Advertising, many, all across America and around the world, advertisers use the spirits of insecurity and inferiority to cause people to reach out and grab for something to make themselves feel more secure, to make themselves feel more valuable. I remember watching, and there was one of these satellite services, these GPS monitoring services. And they were advertising, this car company was advertising, all our new cars come with this particular service. And they showed this commercial, and they had these children, and something terrible was happening, and because they didn't have this GPS system, because they didn't have this, their family was not going to be taken care of. Their family was just, it was terrible. It was one of those cry commercials. And I got so angry in the spirit. I actually wrote the company, and I said, why are you trying to make people feel like less valuable parents? Why are you trying to make them feel insecure? We've existed for a long time without GPS. I think we can go on a little longer. I don't mind someone having a GPS system. I don't mind somebody using it. I said, but you are invoking fear. And what you're really invoking is insecurity and inferiority. If you don't get this GPS system, you're not really a good parent. You're not really caring for your children. You're not really protecting them. You're making them vulnerable. Shame on you. We see it all the time. It used to be if someone had a little itch on their head, didn't have a problem with it until a company, one of these dandruff companies, came out with a commercial back in the 1970s, and they had this handsome man and this beautiful woman there walking together, marching together, and the music was playing, and it was going to be a destiny of love at first sight. And then all of a sudden he reaches up and he scratches his head, and she kind of turns away in disgust. What did they really scratch there? The spirit of insecurity and inferiority. They said, hey, if you've got a scratch on your head, you're not as beautiful. You are less valuable. You are less important. You are less attractive. And therefore, you won't get the beautiful wife. And therefore, you won't have the beautiful kids. And you won't have the great job and all the other things they imply with that. You won't have the perfect life. You're going to be less valuable. You're going to be less secure. So then you have next scene, and he's in the shower, and he's washing his hair. Way too happy, by the way. I've never seen anybody so happy washing their hair. Just washing their hair. And then the next scene, the music comes back, and here they come, and they bump into each other. Oh, it's love at first sight. Let's cry. Everybody run out, buy Head and Shoulders, and even if you've got the slightest little itch, run and get, that's at the company. Run out and get Head and Shoulders, and wash your hair, and then you're going to get the perfect, gorgeous model wife.